I want to share a story with you that I think you'll find encouraging. Last week I was working on a project in the village while a bunch of kids were playing around me. I took note of one of the kids who was wearing a blue button-down shirt. This is Roderick. Right as I looked at him, a gust of wind blew his shirt up and exposed a rather disgusting growth on his stomach. It looked like his insides were coming out of his belly button. I immediately snapped this picture and took it to my friend Blessings, who grew up in the village. He said he'd never seen anything like it before in his life. We then took the picture to the local clinic to show the doctor. I asked her what she thought of it, and she replied, "Yeah, that's probably, that could be, you should just bring him in." So given the concerning nature of this reaction, we tried to act quickly. The next Friday, my friend Richard picked up Roderick from the village and brought him to the clinic. Roderick was terrified. This was the first time he had been in a first world medical facility, and he didn't speak a single word the entire time, and his eyes were constantly darting back and forth while various doctors inspected his growth. They told us it was best to assume the worst. The growth on his stomach was most likely his colon that was being expelled from his body. He's had the growth for years, and it's a miracle he hasn't died from infection yet. Roderick needed surgery, so the clinic passed us off to the local hospital. But first, they needed to clean his growth. The power went out, so I held up my cell phone for light while the nurse applied gauze. The more the nurse cleaned it, the more red and bloody it became. I was told that they would have to make an incision in his stomach, stuff his bowels back inside of him, and then stitch him up. They also warned that this would be very expensive, but without the surgery, he could die. I called up my friend Famita, whose uncle works at the hospital. If Roderick had gone by himself, he would have had to wait overnight just to get an appointment. But thanks to Famita's connections, we bypassed every single line and were in front of the general surgeon in just 10 minutes. He took one look at Roderick's stomach and determined that there was actually a simpler solution. The doctor told us that we weren't actually looking at his bowels. Instead, it was something so simple that it could be fixed by buying a special medical pen from the pharmacy and applying it to his stomach twice a day. The pen cost 3,000 kwacha, and we took his mother to the hospital the next day so she would know how to apply it. Roderick has had this growth for years, and it's a miracle that he hasn't died from an infection. A short 10-minute consultation and about $7 was all it took to save him from a life-threatening situation. I've heard people often say, "How am I supposed to help? There are millions suffering out there. What could I possibly do to make a difference?" And to that I say, instead of looking at the people you can't help, look at the ones that you can.